So this was another movie that I was like, I think you really need to see this movie.
And we chose to do this one.
Yes, we
because...
did. Well, The Lighthouse is coming out. Robert Eggers, who directed and wrote The Witch, has directed and written The Lighthouse. And I figured I wanted him to get kind of acclimated with this guy's kind of style. And man, it had been about 2 or 3 years since I've watched The Witch, and I really like The Witch.
Yeah, I kept waiting for it to be like a horror movie. It's more like thriller.
It's like psychological.
Yeah.
You know, like I wouldn't even say it's thriller. It's more of like a psychological drama. Now there are some very like
graphic, visually striking.
Yeah. Well, that dude, he's amazing. Like I think I'm really excited for what the future holds for this guy. But he, I would say, yeah, it's more of like graphic kind of imagery or just creepy. The overall tone of the film is creepy. You know, like it's the music is just kind of gets on your nerves, and then it's the paranoia between all of them that you're just kind of you're just on edge kind of the whole time.
I really like the fact too that most of the movie can be explained like you don't know if they're losing it or
if there's for real it's the devil's work, you know, like and
you don't really know until the end.
Until
all
the very,
of it,
very end. Yeah.
Like there's the point where the kid gets possessed, and you're like,
well, he's not. Yeah, because he's sitting there saying like Christian things.
Yeah,
you know, and they're like, because
well, no, I don't mean like no, but he's like supposed to be kind of possessed. But you sit there and go, he could just be really sick. He grew up in this really religious family. Like
remember he had the problem with the fear of going to hell because he had not been like cleansed of all his sins, you know?
Yeah.
So like that whole scene where he's trying to basically beg God for his like kind of forgiveness. Yeah. Not forgiveness, but like being cleansed of all his sins. Bailey, this is not playtime.
But it could be.
Okay, you want to get up here?
Throw the toy. Give me the toy.
Okay. All right. But then the mother is sitting there discussing how, like, but this could be the work of the devil. The devil does know the scripture, you know. And
well, no, but my point is, until that point, my point was even that part, you can sit there and go, like, there could be reasons for the way all this is going down, and you don't know if it's all, if it's just a matter of circumstance because they're how religious they are, and they're choosing to see and believe what they're wanting to see and believe, or is it actually the work of the devil? And you don't know until the end.
But that's why at the end, I told you the first time I saw it, and you may have had the same feeling. At the end, where she's talking to the goat, she's talking to Black Phillip, and then Black Phillip responds.
Yeah.
That's where it was like, it's that feeling of like, oh, this wasn't paranoia.
Well, still, no. Even then, you go, is that in her mind? It's not.
Oh, see, at that moment, the moment Black Phillip starts talking.
Well, yes, but even if it would have just been that, but then you see Black Phillip start walking around, and then you kind of know.
Yeah.
But my point is, even when you first speak, you go, is that in her head? Like.
Oh, see, I never. That's interesting that you took it that way. I never took it that way at all. The moment
I'm not a religious person.
You're a skeptic.
I'm a skeptic. Yeah.
But I thought. The first time I saw this, I was just blown away because I went into it thinking it was, I thought it was going to be kind of a horror film and maybe it was a family having to deal with, there's maybe like a rumor of a witch in the woods or something, or something.
No, this is
and
not.
I loved how it was all about, it was religious and how this family took religion to an extreme. They got banished.
That's how the movie starts.
They're getting banished from a town because they're too religious. They're too Christian. Like they were causing trouble in the town because they thought the town was not upholding true Christian beliefs. And you're like, wow. And this is back in the 1600s New England.
Yeah.
Where that's why people moved here from England, was like to be Puritans, and you know, and for this family to say y'all aren't pure enough for us is insane. So it gives, you're right, it gives you like an idea right off the bat of the type of people that you're dealing with.
And there are certain like things I did like about this movie, like the deterioration of the father. I loved how it started off, and he was this figure, and by the end of it, you realized he couldn't farm, he couldn't hunt, he couldn't. And everything he was doing, he was relying on pure faith. He had no knowledge.
God will come through in the end, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of the movie, is that you can take it as like, is this real? Like, is he putting too much faith and not enough like actual thinking?
And at no point you think he's a good guy.
Overall, he's trying to be a good father. I mean, by the end, he's not like a terrible father. It's just he's relied too much on his faith, and
by the end of it, you see everybody for who they are.
Yeah, but even then, at that point, he was willing to go back to the village because he's realized that, in a way, he's kind of failed his family. He was not able to support his family. But at that point, you know, the kid had his moment of, it wasn't really an exorcism, but he was, I guess, I mean,
no, it wasn't an exorcism. It was like it was possessed a little bit.
Well, he was. And that whole scene really sums up the movie about how much of it is real, or how much, you know, what can you or can you not believe. So he had been out in the cold, damp, dark for the night before, and he had clearly,
he comes back. He's got no clothes on.
He's naked, like he's clearly sick. Yeah, like rational thinking, you would think this kid's just has super high fever. He's probably gonna die. But then he spits up an apple. And remember, he started out the movie lying to his mom, saying we were out picking apples.
Yeah.
And it's just shit like that where you're like, it's just awesome. The movie's really fucking good. I love the religious themes within it is really cool, and I mean
the fact that it's all Old English.
Yeah, and that's just it. Is that you get truly kind of into this story because the sets, the clothing, the language itself, you feel like you're watching a family in 1600s New England.
Yeah.
I was blown away the first time I saw this. And plus,
I really like
all the acting is good.
Oh, the acting's great.
Yeah, I mean, even like the boy, there are moments that you're like, well, you can tell he's a kid actor, but then he has moments where he's great. He's perfectly fine. But Thomason, who's Anya Taylor-Joy, and then the mother and the father were awesome, especially the father.
Yeah,
he was so good. What would you say? Even though since this is the month of October and it can kind of be classified as a horror, it's a definite like slow burn, psychological type horror. What would you say? Is there anything in particular that kind of creeped you out or kind of scared you?
The ending scene, the imagery just from that.
Of the witch's coven?
Yes, but it starts off when she's standing in front of the house and just staring at the goat.
Oh, because she's all by herself at that point.
Yeah. And this is before she follows the goat into the shed.
Oh, into the shed, yes.
And she's just standing there, staring at the goat. And then the goat answers and everything, and then you see it from like a distance, and she walks into the woods naked.
She's naked, but the goat is right behind her.
Yeah.
He's leading her so that she can live deliciously, as he put it.
My favorite line of the movie was, "Would you like to taste sweet butter?"
Yeah, wouldst thou like to taste butter?
Yeah.
That was his first temptation, because his lines, Black Phillip was trying to show to her like the temptation.
Would you like a new dress?
You know, would you like new robes? Would you like to? Art thou like to live deliciously?
Yeah.
But the first line is, would thou like to taste butter? And it's like, yeah, of course. But
welcome to America.
Yeah, I know, for real. I don't know. Parts for me that I would say were the creepiest. Maybe I remember. I remember specifically being really creeped out the first time I watched it when the mother's having her like little hallucination sequence, and then she's breastfeeding the child, and then it turns out it was just a raven that was picking at her, and that was just what? That was a true moment of like, what the hell is happening? And during that time, that was when the old ladies in the
that was creepy.
That was weird. Honestly, the whole first sequence, what is the whole movie is predicated on, is how the baby is kidnapped, and it's showing like this. It's the same old woman at the end.
Yeah.
How she's taking the baby and she's like,
she's killing it.
She kills it and she's like rubbing it all over her body. It's just like really weird, creepy stuff. But I remember being in the theater, and when she's sitting there like touching the baby, and like you don't see her, you just see the baby, and then you see a knife go to the baby, and all I remember thinking is like, I really hope they cut away and thank God they did, because like that moment I was like, I don't want to see any of that. No. But I mean, what followed that was just as creepy. Was that like she was just like covering herself in blood, which was like, oh, well, she killed the baby.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a fantastic movie. I really love this movie, and it's,
to me, I think the only jump scare in the whole movie is where the woman reaches.
That's it. But it's because the music goes with it. It's like it's like kind of quiet, and the woman, it's the witch. The son has been tempted by this witch in the woods.
Young, she's all young.
She's young looking, and because that's the other part of this movie that it's about, is children that are becoming of an age that their bodies are changing.
Mm-hmm.
The boy is attracted to the sister they're the only ones together. Yeah. So he sees a young woman that has a body, and he's kind of tempted by that. And then at the same time, Thomason, the daughter, she's becoming of age where they're saying like she should be getting married soon. It's because she's going through they're both kind of going through puberty, and so when this kid is tempted by sin, by this witch, and then you're right, that jump scare where it's immediately an old hand that's grabbing his head, and you're like, God, that. And you're right, that's probably the one
that,
jump
and
scare.
then the shot of the dead dog. That was kind of like...
I didn't think it was a jump scare. That was more of like a revelation of like, oh, the dog has died.
Yeah.
But
in terms of that, there wasn't a whole lot of scary stuff. But there's stuff that you see stuff that sticks with you.
Mm-hmm. It's just constant imagery, and like I was saying, it's such a slow burn. And I will admit, the score helps with it being like you do not feel right the whole movie. The whole movie you're like, I don't feel good,
Yeah.
And it makes for good cinema. Like
it also helps this movie's like an hour and a half long. Almost everything that happens is meant to show you or make you feel a certain way.
Everything is it's important. There's no like filler or anything. It's pretty straight to the point. And it's honestly a relatively simple story.
No, and it's, out of the movies we've done so far, this is my favorite story, just because it is simple. There's not too much to be confused about. There isn't too many holes in it.
No, but it's because it's pretty short and concise, and there's not tons of different characters.
Yeah.
I mean, you only have these 5 characters, and they're all together, and it's everything is pretty much explained. Like you're right. What would you give this?
This one I give an A-.
A-? Man, I like after watching it last night, I'm like, I think I might give it an A-.
Hereditary might have been a better overall movie, but I enjoyed this one.
Interesting.
But I think this is just easier to watch. Hereditary,
which is strange because this is not an easy watch either.
No.
Like this is not.
But again, there was Hereditary. Remember what I said when we watched Hereditary? I was like, that movie felt 3 hours long.
Okay, I guess that's fair. Hereditary flies by for me, but that's besides the point. I think I would give this one like an A-, but I do remember leaving the theater, I thought this was like borderline masterpiece. I was blown away by The Witch. So it's an A-. It teeters for me. I really like it. It's
on Netflix. I think if you go into it, I know people that saw this going into it thinking it was going to be like a horror film.
Oh, and same thing. People were so disappointed, and I was like, guys,
Because it is definitely.
It's not your typical.
It's not a horror. I mean, it is a horror film, but it's not.
It's not your traditional horror film in any term.
No, I mean, you've got to get over the fact they are speaking Old English.
That was a lot of people's main complaint. The people out there, they were talking in
it helps.
English.
I mean, honestly, the biggest help for me was the fact that we were able to watch with subtitles. I can't imagine trying to follow it all.
See, it's kind of like reading Shakespeare now. Like I remember seeing it in theaters, you just start to kind of get used to.
Well, yeah, and it is true. About 30 minutes in, you just kind of get used to it. But I mean, it does help to have subtitles. That way, if you do miss anything, because it is Old English.
Yeah, it's Old English for sure.
I mean, you can pick it up. But yeah, it was good,
and it's original too.
Yeah.
Like that was something I really liked as well. Was that like it was not something that I had seen, maybe not like before, but it was just really fresh when I first saw it, and it still feels pretty fresh today. So I loved it. You evidently loved it. Like you said, it's on Netflix. Y'all should definitely check it out if you have the time. If any of that interests you.
I don't even know if I'd call this one like a Halloween type movie, because it's not necessarily scary.
I mean, you do at a certain point you do deal with the devil and deal with witches and stuff. So, but yeah, I would still check it out. It is, put it this way, on Netflix. It is on the horror.
It's worth the watch.
It's on the horror category.
Yeah.
So like in a sense, it is scary. Like it's that feeling. It's creepy.
Yeah. Yes. It is.
It's not
creepy.
Scary. It's just like this. It's eerie.
I kept
it's
waiting
creepy.
to be scared in this movie. Like there were moments where I'm like, because I just said this in every review. I was like, I don't do scary movies, and there's times I was like, I don't know if I want to watch it, and then I was like, oh, this.
No, it plays out. It's nothing like horrendous. It's just.
That being
creepy.
said, this is the only one of the movies we've watched so far where I've like find myself just like thinking about it, like getting chills. Like it's creepy. It's creepy.
Yeah.
There's some creepy moments.
But yeah, I think we pretty much said what we do need to say about the movie. It's on Netflix. Check it out, and we will be reviewing The Lighthouse soon. Robert Eggers, his follow-up to The Witch, and
It's not a sequel.
no, it's not a sequel, but it is. I do want to see what he's going to be doing. So, so check us out next time when we review The Lighthouse, and
Check you later.
catch you later.
Check you later.